It feels like whenever people are talking about the idea of the console wars, they're usually debating PlayStation versus Xbox. And I find it interesting because really, Nintendo is in such a different camp. The Nintendo Switch has sold over 100 million consoles. This thing is such a juggernaut of popularity. It's made literally tens of billions of dollars. But more than that, I think it partially comes down to the fact that Nintendo games are very separate. Nintendo makes games like Zelda and Pokemon and Splatoon and Fire Emblem and Xenoblade Chronicles, all of which are very big and very popular and only on their exclusive tech. But let's face it, the major reason that a lot of people don't consider the Nintendo Switch part of this generation is because it's just so weak. This isn't an insult. I'm not saying the Nintendo Switch sucks. I definitely play my Nintendo Switch quite a bit, but it's a separate version of gaming. It's pretty much a crazy cool tablet. And so a lot of times in the discussion of the idea of a Nintendo Switch 2, the primary thing that I see everybody asking for is better graphics, better frame rate, more comparable visuals to stuff like the Xbox and the PlayStation. And it sounds like we got our wish. Let's talk. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. So you're not going to believe this, but we're going to take a look at multiple sources today that apparently are confirming that Nintendo is showing off the Switch 2 to game developers, and it's roughly the power of a PlayStation 5. I am thrilled about this. So let's dive into it. So, obviously just a couple days ago, we had Gamescom over in Germany, and it was a pretty good Gamescom. Lots of gameplay, lots of release dates, lots of cool reveals and stuff like that. But Nintendo was very strange because on the show floor themselves, they just had a tiny demo for Pikmin 4 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which at this point, that game is practically 10 years old. Apparently, though, behind the scenes, they were doing a secret demo where they were letting game developers see the future of Nintendo. Now, I've got an itemized breakdown here that really is interesting because starting off, this is real. Jez Corden of Windows Central confirms it. Eurogamer confirms it. Video Game Chronicle confirms it. It seems like a lot of people have had a chance to see this new demo, but there's two separate things they showed that both are kind of crazy. First up, they did a improved version of Breath of the Wild as a demo. Now, this to me is crazy because obviously Breath of the Wild is a launch game for the Nintendo Switch, and it is a game that, as good as it looks, even when it originally came out, people were a little bit unsatisfied that the frame rate was kind of inconsistent. It was pretty much 30 frames a second, but it did have dips. And when it dipped, it didn't look as good. So it's interesting that they took such an old game and made it look upscaled and cleaner and have a better frame rate. That is a very specific move. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a demo with Tears of the Kingdom running at 60 frames a second, but I guess maybe they were just still optimizing that for launch while working in tandem with this Nintendo Switch 2 hardware. But the idea of current Nintendo Switch games looking better, to me, sounds like a gigantic W. Apparently, Nintendo's goal is to release this by late 2024 or sooner. Now, some people may forget this, but the time between the Nintendo Switch reveal and the Nintendo Switch launch was relatively quick. I mean, they pretty much showed it in the spring, launched it in the summer. I think there's a good chance that they're going to show this next year, probably February or March of 2024, and have it out by October or September. And to me, that's crazy soon. It's weird to think about the idea of a new Nintendo Switch coming out so soon. I mean, we don't know the name of it, but I do think it's probably going to be called the Nintendo Switch 2 because obviously the Nintendo Switch branding is so strong. And next up, Here's the part of this that honestly I am the most happy about. Video Game Chronicle reports the Nintendo Switch 2 was able to run the Unreal Engine 5 Matrix Awakens demo with DLSS and visual comparable to the PS5 and Xbox Series X. This is nuts. Now, I read their report. They claimed it had ray tracing and stuff enabled. This is, not only is this going to be the most graphically impressive Nintendo console ever, but the fact that it's actually going to be close to a PlayStation 5 is so... I'm extremely excited to see what Nintendo does with that amount of power. What's a Pokemon game going to look like? What's a huge open world experience? What's the next Zelda? How big of a Mario could you make? If you made another game like Mario Odyssey that has a bunch of worlds, how many worlds? How good could they look? How much leaf and foliage? Nintendo actually doing their best to max out a system to really hit current gen specifications is a totally new area of territory, and I really want to see that. I'll admit it, I've become a bit of a graphics whore. I think good visuals to me are impressive. Like, if there's a good game, obviously gameplay comes first. I love a good story, but it's cool that we are getting those huge, spectacular, jaw-dropping moments. Times where, like, Starfield has a huge, beautiful sunset in space, or you're playing Baldur's Gate 3, and the technological advancements of each of the facial animations. There has been a new generation of tech and graphics and motion capture that we're currently involved in that Nintendo has not participated in at all. I'll admit it, I've actually been really obsessed with my Steam Deck. I think I like handheld gaming a lot, and so it's cool to even mod my Steam Deck and put like Pokemon on it and stuff. I put a bunch of emulators on it, but this thing is a supercomputer. This thing can handle some pretty insane graphics. I mean, not high-end PC stuff, but it can run some games really, really, really well. I want to see what Nintendo Switch 2 is able to do, but it does bring up the question, will it be handheld? I think a big part of the success of the Nintendo Switch is that even though a lot of us play it primarily docked, it's nice to have the option to play it handheld. Even if I just did it like 20 hours a year, it is cool that when I'm working on a review or I want to play something retro, I do especially really like playing my Nintendo Switch on the treadmill. I think it's cool to think about if they're able to get the Nintendo Switch 2 to some high console specification marks, but it's still a tablet. Now, I'm definitely not expecting full DLSS, 4K, 100 FPS graphics in handheld form. I definitely think that if they do that, part of the power has got to be in the dock. It's probably going to be one of those things where the system itself has decent graphics, but then on your TV, it looks insane. Even that compromise, to me, sounds amazing. I'm so curious to see this. I'm so excited. I feel like I like Nintendo Switch games, but for the first time in a while, I'm excited to see the future of the Switch. But what do you guys think about it? Are you ready for the next generation of Switch? Will you buy this if it hypothetically costs $500 like a freaking PlayStation 5 does? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and please, if you could, give this video a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.